Hello, it is me, and my rather cooled down cup of tea. And a very happy Vlogmas Day 23, woohoo! And a very happy Christmas Adam. You know, because Adam comes before Eve. Sorry, I couldn't help doing that joke. Also known as Christmas Eve. Eve, woohoo! Only, what, 2 days till Christmas now? And it is time for another OwlMas mini unboxing. So let's get into it, shall we? Because today is day number 11. So I just had to wear my TARDIS t-shirt and put out my TARDIS because, well, the 11th Doctor is my favorite, and I thought since I was opening the 11th day of OwlMas, I would celebrate the 11th Doctor. So it says, on the 11th day of OwlMas, Owlcrate gave to me frozen waffles. Ooh. So let's see what it is. It is, ooh, it looks super cute. Ooh, ooh, it's a candle. It says 11's Waffles, waffle scented candles made exclusively for Owlcrate by Novelly Yours Candle. Awesome! I actually just did a haul from Novelly Yours, and I'll just leave it up in the little thingy right up there. So let's see. Ooh! So on the inside, it is a lovely light purple, and it smells just like waffles with like just a hint of maple syrup. And I don't know if it's from knowing what fandom this is from, but they almost do smell exactly like Eggo waffles. So I definitely finally know what this fandom is, due to the fact that a month or two ago I watched all 3 seasons of, yes, Stranger Things in a week. Yeah, 3 seasons in a week. I totally binged that stuff. So it is Stranger Things and it is 11's Waffles. So how cute is that? And it even has tiny little Christmas lights on the label. Very, very cute. And super, super yummy smelling. So, now that we're done with that, I thought it would be fun to talk about Christmas movies, because since there's only a few more days left of Christmas, I thought I would share some of my most nostalgic Christmas movies, classic Christmas movies, and a couple of unique Christmas films. So, to start things off, one that is slightly controversial, and I actually had to request from another library because I don't have a copy myself, Die Hard. So comment down below, do you think Die Hard is a Christmas film? It's set at Christmas, it happens at a Christmas party, and the theme song has jingle bells in it. Christmassy enough? I don't know. But we have Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman in this film. Unfortunately, there is some unfortunately strong language in this film, so not for younger viewers. But if you enjoy Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman, it's a good watch. I usually watch the television version of this, which is cleaned up a little bit. So, up next, we have a classic, or at least a classic here in America, Charlie Brown Christmas. You cannot beat poor old Charlie Brown. In A Charlie Brown Christmas, he kind of has a bit of the winter blues, and he just doesn't know what Christmas is all about anymore. It just seems like Christmas has become really commercialized, which, even though this is a pretty old cartoon, it's still a bit like that, and I love this version because we got a cute little pop-up inside this DVD. And yeah, if you've never seen A Charlie Brown Christmas, I highly recommend it. It's a very short film. I think it's about only a half an hour, and it's really heartwarming. And it has music from the great Vince Guaraldi. Up next is a childhood classic for me, and I actually grew up with the book first, and then it was made into a Disney, Wonderful World of Disney TV movie, and that is ELOISE at Christmastime. So Eloise is actually a character created by Kay Thompson in the 1950s. And Pippi, get out of the tree. No. No, please don't go up the tree. Please stop. You gotta see this. Pippi. Could you please stop climbing the Christmas tree just this once? Oh, you're at the top. I gotta pause this and get you out of there. See, I'm totally not kidding when I say the struggle is real. So, back to Eloise at Christmas time. So this was written back in the 1950s by Kay Thompson, and it was illustrated by Hilary Knight. And you may know Kay Thompson from the movie Funny Face, and she sings the famous song Think Pink, which is definitely the style of Eloise. Eloise is 6 years old. She is a city child, and she lives at the Plaza Hotel. And it is just a hoot to see the mischief that Eloise gets into. But even though it is mischief, she does it with all the best intentions. So in the movie version, Julie Andrews is actually Eloise's nanny. So it's a real hoot to see her in this. And it's just such a fun and sweet and definitely kid-friendly movie. And I really identify with Eloise quite a bit. Now, up next is an oldie, and one that people may not be familiar with, and I kind of consider it a Christmas movie because it is set at Christmas time. There's some really fun scenes on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and opening presents, and it is actually a murder mystery. This is The Thin Man with William Powell and Myrna Loy, two of my favorite 1930s actors and actresses, and they're just such a hoot. The fashion is fantastic. Now, mind you, this is from the 1930s, so not everything is exactly politically correct, but it's still a really wonderful film and a great mystery. And it's neat to see some other actors and actresses in this film that are in other films. And I highly recommend it. And it's just check it out. If not for the detective and sleuthing, but for the silent sidekick, which is Asta the dog, who is an absolute hoot. And there's about 6 films in this series, and they go from the late 30s through the early 40s. And again, I highly recommend it. Nowadays, you can just probably find it on Amazon or any kind of streaming service. So definitely check out The Thin Man. Up next, we have a more recent film, and that is The Man Who Invented Christmas. And this is a film about Charles Dickens and the amazing tales of how he wrote A Christmas Carol in 6 weeks and published it himself, and it is so incredible. There is some creative leeway put into the storyline, but quite a bit of it is true, and it's actually based on a book called The Man Who Invented Christmas, and it's just kind of neat to see the kind of ideas that went into A Christmas Carol. And it also has the late great Christopher Plummer in it as Ebenezer Scrooge, and I love it. Next, we have, I guess it's a classic, definitely a classic. Home Alone. Can't be Christmas without popping in Home Alone and seeing Kevin McAllister get into all kinds of shenanigans, going up against Marv and Harry, and having the absolute brilliant music soundtrack, which is John Williams. And I actually have the CD for this, and I listen to it constantly, especially the Star of Bethlehem, which is one of my favorite John Williams songs ever. Next is the classic original version of Miracle on 34th Street. And I actually recommend watching the black and white version over the colorized version. There's just something about it. I really enjoy the black and white better than the colorized version. And I prefer it to the 90s version. even though I do enjoy that one, this one's definitely my favorite. We tend to watch it actually on Thanksgiving Day because that's when it all starts, on Thanksgiving Day at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But it does go all the way through to Christmas, and some of the scenes at the end, we quote this film in everyday life here at our house, and it is a classic. Another film is the George C. Scott version of A Christmas Carol. Now, this one actually I like to pop in when I am making my gingerbread houses. I pretty much know this word for word. The music will give you chills, and I just really, really enjoy this version of A Christmas Carol. So, of the versions of real life actors, George C. Scott, it's a classic. Even if it was, I believe it was actually meant as a television film, and I think it was from the 80s possibly. But anyway, we actually had the VHS version of this one too. Up next is a Christmas film that some of you may not be familiar with, and it is The Bishop's Wife. And it has the one and only Cary Grant, who is one of my absolute favorite actors, David Niven and Loretta Young, and basically is a story of Dudley, who is Cary Grant, who is actually an angel, and David Niven is the bishop, and of course Loretta Young is the bishop's wife, and it just is a really heartwarming movie. I mean, you could just watch it if you're a fan of Cary Grant, but it has such a lovely message to it. The end scene, which is the Christmas Eve service, has just one of the best service / endings to a film ever. It is wonderful, 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 and it helps you think about, you know, the reasons for the seasons and just thinking back to some good old days. Up next, an oldie but a goodie. The Santa Claus. So this is the Tim Allen classic, which again, I pop this in when I'm making gingerbread houses and I can quote word for word. I love the music in it. Basically, it is the story of Scott Calvin, who makes toys in real life, and on Christmas Eve there arises such a clatter, and due to certain events, I mean, if you're unfamiliar with the film, he becomes Santa Claus, and by putting on the suit, he signs the Santa Claus that he becomes the new Santa Claus, and it's just such a great classic film. There are 2 other sequels after it. They're not quite as good, although the third Santa Claus has Martin Short in it, and that's just absolutely hysterical. I watch it for him. But yes, the original, the best, has some very quotable lines. For instance, Charlie, do you know how to dial 911? Sure, 911. Anyway, next is one that it's gonna be a real throwback, because the only copy of this that we have is on VHS. Yes, if you are a young viewer, you may not know what this thick, archaic thing might be. This is a VHS box. You open it up and you have your VHS tape, which you put in a VHS player, and we're so high-tech that we have a VHS rewinder from Radio Shack. Oh yes. So, it is How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which is actually a double feature VHS that has Horton Hears a Who after How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So, this is the second version of it. We have the original Dr. Seuss book, then we have the cartoon version, and then after that is the Jim Carrey version, and then after that is the Benedict Cumberbatch animated version. But I think of the 3, this one's my favorite, because it's the original, and I can't watch Home Alone without then watching How the Grinch Stole Christmas, because, well, a little scene of it is playing in both Home Alone and Home Alone 2. And basically, it is the Grinch. He is a green creature whose heart is 2 sizes too small and who does not like Christmas at all. And so on Christmas Eve he goes down to steal the toys from the Who's down in Whoville's, all the girls and the boys. But then, of course, he has a change of heart, and that makes all the difference, and he returns the toys. And of course there is Max the dog, who is just such a hoot, and it has the best Christmas song, "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." Yes, I love that. So, to round off the Christmas festivity movies, we have, again on VHS, the best adaptation of A Christmas Carol, and it is The Muppet Christmas Carol. Now, let me convince you on this. There are certain ways that the Jim Henson Muppet gang has made A Christmas Carol that no other version has. So first off, you have Gonzo and Rizzo being Charles Dickens and Rizzo playing himself, but Gonzo playing Charles Dickens, you get lines that are verbatim from the book A Christmas Carol spoken in the film, like describing Scrooge as a grasping, nose to a grindstone, covetous old sinner. It's in there, and it's never in any of the other versions of A Christmas Carol. You have Michael Caine playing Scrooge, and he was once quoted as saying when he was going to play Scrooge, he was going to play it as if he was in a Shakespeare production of it. So he plays it exactly the way Scrooge should be. So that is wonderful. Of course, you have the wonderful characters of the Muppets, you know, Kermit the Frog here, and Miss Piggy, and Fozzie Bear, and yes, it is a musical, but I cannot, it's the best version. It really is. And think of it like this. When you watch The Muppet Christmas Carol, besides Scrooge's immediate family, all the other characters that he interacts with are Muppets, but they're also animals, so you kind of get that idea that Scrooge sees others as just animals, not worth his time, smaller than him. He, you know, barks an order at them and they jump to it. And so that's one kind of thing that you notice when you're older. I don't know if that was intentional. But also, the other thing about The Muppet Christmas Carol is that it is made more accessible to kids, but it is not dumbing down the story of A Christmas Carol. It's still spooky. It's still quite scary. Even now, me as an adult, there are still scenes in this that it scares me because it is done so well. So, rounding off with Muppet Christmas Carol. Well, everybody, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that I have maybe introduced you to some fun new Christmas films to watch, and I hope that you're having a Merry Christmas Eve. So, thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you're interested in another video, go ahead and click right here, and if you're new, welcome to my channel, and go ahead and click that subscribe button so you never miss my videos ever again. And I will make sure to list all these fabulous movies down below so that you can definitely check them out. In this day and age of streaming, there are no more excuses. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye!